Hey, thanks for tuning in. Today I sat across from Miller Carter, and when he sat across from me, he said, I don't know what I have to offer. You guys, he brought an entire podcast of inspiration and motivation. We talk about what growing up was like for him. We talk about his journey to sobriety, faith, and how the gym plays a key role in his life now. This is a story you don't want to miss, so make sure you listen to the whole thing. Giving a special shout out to our sponsor, Maximus Nutrition. If you are looking to boost your workout, whether that be, toning up or adding in that bulk, they can help you out with all the shakes, all the creatine, and all the protein, and so much more. You can find them over on Sunset Drive and Knickerbocker. Be sure to hit them up. Hello. Welcome back to Everything and the Gym. I'm your host, Shelbi, and we are currently in season 4. But before I tell you who our guest is today, we have to give a special shout out to our sponsors, Orange Theory Fitness, Training from the Ground Up, and Maximus Nutrition. Now, who are you?
Hi, I'm Miller, Miller Carter.
And how old are you?
I'm 29 years old.
Yes.
And my occupation is a barber and an avid gym goer.
Yes. I actually just started to get to know you.
Yeah.
I actually had somebody tell me before Peak even opened up that I should interview you, but they didn't know much about you. But they said, he's probably got a good story. And then you started showing up at Peak.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of cool to train you.
Yeah, you definitely, you and Bree definitely don't take it too easy on the one guy that normally shows up.
No. Why would you?
That's okay. I need all the tough love that I can get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you're thinking about doing HYROX.
Yeah, that's been a fun one. I've had a few people ask me what my intention behind that is right now, and I think I'm the only person who's openly trying to go solo, because at this rate, I don't know who I'd be a partner with.
Yeah. There's still time, but you could always purchase a solo ticket, and then if you found a doubles partner, you're allowed to add a ticket on. So
does it work by reservation though? Because I thought about the same thing, but I didn't know if you had to buy your tickets as a pair or just solo for solo. Because you said they were going to go on sale this month, right?
Yeah, they should go on sale this month, which it's May. It's like middle of May right now.
9th, 10th, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we're around May 10th. They should go on sale 6 months prior to when the race date is, which is November 21st. So estimated
like the week and a half.
When this episode comes out, I can imagine that they're on sale. Yeah.
Ooh, it's coming up pretty quick. Yeah,
it's coming up really quick. So, yeah, you can buy a solo ticket and then say you want to do a doubles partner. Mm-hmm. You can get with HYROX, and if there's a doubles team spot open, you can have it.
Okay.
But it sells out.
Yeah,
it's
super
crazy.
fast.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm hoping that I just anticipate that if I wind up buying a ticket that I'm just going to have to do it solo. I don't want to have any hopes that for whatever reason somebody's going to be like, hey, do you want to double? And be like, yeah, sure, we can definitely grab a ticket. And it's just like, no, it doesn't work.
I'm just excited that people are going. I get to go and watch so many different more races. Like I can come support you doing singles. McKenna, the other coach, she's going to do singles. And then there's a couple of doubles teams going out of Peak too. So.
Dude, I'm super excited for somebody that has gotten into this probably within the last 3 or 4 months. My return to San Angelo came at the perfect time, because whenever I saw that Peak was opening, I was like, this has to be a God thing. Like this has to be like this is just like I'm falling into a community of people right now that I'm already interested in, and so I can just hit it. I'm so stoked. especially being around people that are like optimistic and like-minded. And I'm just like, let's go.
Yeah, it's cool to find a community like that. I've loved being at Peak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The environment that it offers, as this turns into an ad for Peak Performance, right?
Hey, Peak Performance.
The environment that it's offered thus far has been, I think, kind of what I discussed with Bree is like you're cultivating a community that eventually turns into a lifestyle, which eventually turns into a movement, primarily because it's something that is not for the faint of heart to begin with, but it's so, like the environment and the people involved are so on your side and encouraging that it's open to everybody, and that just floods the rest of the community with like optimism and potential for change for yourself, change for the people around you. And it's just so cool to see because it's just like, yes, this is what we're talking about. Like positive change for the rest of San Angelo. It starts with a handful of people. And that's what I mean whenever I say it's like a movement.
Man, that was so good, Miller.
Thanks, dude.
I'm thankful to be able to work with you. It's going to be awesome. And it's only just beginning.
That's the super exciting part is that it's been 1 month.
Yeah.
Like,
let's go.
There's going to be so much to come from this.
Between now and November too.
Oh,
so
gosh.
much growth.
Well, not to mention the folks that are like lined up, like my friends that are already interested in coming. My buddy that's hopefully moving down here or he is moving down here, hopefully be working at Peaks. Like having the foundation and the base that's like right now and knowing what we know about like where it's going, like I can't imagine what it's going to be like in a year. It's going to be the coolest thing that's happened.
Okay. We're going to take it back.
Okay.
And we're going to bring that full circle, okay?
Cool.
So, taking it back, what was growing up like for you?
You know, I've thought about this since we've talked about it in the gym, and I tried to give you the most honest but like not unhinged answer, I guess. It was interesting. My parents were never married. Never did I think that had an initial hindrance until later on in life. But aside from that, I kind of was just more aware at a young age of, I guess, I don't know, my social surroundings, which will eventually, like later on in the conversation, kind of explain why I got into fitness. But growing up, grew up with my little brother, with my mom, trading back and forth with my dad. Grew up here, went to school here, went to Bowie Elementary. Shout out the Patriots. Went to Glenn Raiders, and then Central Bobcats. None of which did I enjoy any of those experiences, probably past like third grade. So the post graduated optimism is something that's still new. But yeah, I didn't really do a whole lot, actually. I only ever had enthusiasm about being fit for the sake of looking like my favorite anime character, which I feel like a lot of people can relate to now.
Who is it?
Anybody from Dragon Ball Z, probably, which is like the most baseline.
Yeah.
Everything. Thank you. Because by the luck of the draw, your boy was allergic to everything, like every kind of grass. I was allergic to dogs. I was allergic to cats. I was allergic to breathing air, and somehow I managed to still play soccer at like 6 years old. And so it was not exciting for the most part. My little brother was more adventurous. He was out riding his bike and everything like that, and I would sit inside and watch TV and play video games because I could not. I'd had asthma too, so it was just like very low key, very low brow. So
you weren't active?
Not very. I was also like kind of like the chubby kid that was afraid to take his shirt off at the pool. I feel like for me as an adult now looking back, it's so strange the early onset of like awareness for my body that I had, because you see, it would take a movie, for example, like The Sandlot, and then like you had everybody at the pool scene, but everybody's like prepubescent adolescent bodies were like generally kind of slim for the most part. And then I felt like I was ham, but I had no confidence. So I was just kind of like the chunky kid, while all my friends, like for whatever reason or another, were like fit. My idea of fit in my head, because they were more trim than I was, which kind of poured over like the middle school thing. Whenever I was playing like football for middle school, like I was like a lineman, even though I never grew past 5'7", and so at that time I was probably like 5'3" and just like a little chunk. And so everybody else was, and that correlates into social settings and stuff like that. Like I kind of always like romanticized movies as my form of my delusion, I guess. I don't know. That home life was like my parents weren't together, so I always kind of looked for like a validation elsewhere, which would lead to problematic issues later on in life. But more so than anything, I guess the correlating factor being that me being the chunkier kid, not having a whole lot of self-esteem, self-confidence, I correlated the way that I looked with my confidence, which in turn made me look at other people being like, oh, I'm not good enough for like love and affection from somebody else, kind of thing. So I had a really weird negative impact and awareness whenever I was at a very young age, which is either not talked about as often, or it is kind of, I don't know, maybe just a unique thing. I don't know what would have happened per se, but yeah.
Were you a troublemaker?
Not really. I probably was more of an obnoxious, like, wannabe class clown. Like, I tried to make jokes, I tried to be funny, but I was also like very to myself. I mean, outside of like small juvenile adolescence of like me and my friends going and skating during the summertime, smoked pot and acted like dumb.
Yeah.
Cigarettes and pot at like 12 and 13 for the sake of being like cool and edgy. But no, I wouldn't say too much of a troublemaker.
I actually have a funny story about the skating rink.
Oh, really?
Michael Vercher was telling me that he used to work there, and he was like, I don't know if he remembers this, but he was always up there when I was working.
See, that's the weird part is like, I remember a guy named PJ, and I can't remember for the life of me what his last name was, but I knew his brother from whenever he was in high school, and then PJ and I worked at Taco Bell together back in 2016. Rough times. But yeah, I was, even during those times, I was working with my dad during the summertime doing construction, and I was making money to go to the skating rink, to ball out on, at the time, whenever I guess they became more accessible monsters. This was before like they had this whole campaign that at a certain age you can't drink them because kids were dropping dead from having heart attacks from trying to destroy like 4 or 5 monsters at a time. So like that's what I was spending my money on back in the day. So I was either too high wired or just brain fried at that point to remember old Mikey. But I don't know, dude. Like, it's weird as an adult now, because I feel like there's plenty of people that I've met that'd be like, I knew you whenever we were younger. And I'm like, I could not for the life of me. I guess I was in my own world.
Yeah.
But you should have seen me. I was swagging real hard with my fat lip shoes and my flat bill hats that I would go pick up from Lids and PacSun. I mean, that was the dream. Blue 42 back in the day. Shout out, you know. Long hair, still a little chunky. Don't get me wrong, but like, you know, you got the freshest tap out shirt on. I remember that vividly. That I do. But yeah, it's funny how everything does come full circle a little bit in life, doesn't it? Like,
yeah.
What a guy, though. What a guy.
Well, now you've gotten through school. What happened after high school?
So I started getting tattooed at an early age. Senior year of high school, I kind of like branched out a little bit. I had a house with a guy that I had gone to high school with that we lived across the street. And I knew that I kind of wanted to do hair, but I wasn't really fully committed, and I was still like very against authoritative figures. So post high school, I tried to go to school for a little bit for doing hair, and then what wound up happening was I didn't get along with my instructors very well. So I was a delivery driver. I was a waiter. I had worked at Sonic. I was a dishwasher at Olive Garden. Like, I did everything and anything that involved not having to go do hard, intensive manual labor for the sake of like my dad. I grew up doing construction with my dad. So that really kind of was a big driver for me to not have to do that. Also growing up in West Texas, it was just kind of like that was what was anticipated. And I was just like, I don't have the desire to do that. I don't. And then kind of fell into the music scene, really enjoyed going to concerts. Obviously, if you're in the oil field and you're working 2 weeks on, 1 week off or whatever, you can't just go freely. So it was just like as little as possible with the biggest amount of results. And then I wound up getting back into hair school circa 2017, but that time in between 14 and 17 was mainly just hanging out, not doing anything with my life, trying to figure out what was going on. Did have a stint there for a while where I was going to the gym more frequently because I had found a job that I could pay for a gym membership with. Of course, it was Planet Fitness back in the day. So I kind of got interested in that around then, which my first real introduction to the fitness industry was Rich Piana. So it was crazy being, I guess, leaving out, I was a vegan at one point in time too. So I was a vegan and trying to look like Rich Piana, which was like not, those two things don't correlate, but that was post high school, like immediately. And then I went to hair school. And then I worked in Dallas for a little bit, and then I moved back. And then from moving back, I don't know. I moved back to San Angelo and then went through a breakup, as most do in their early 20s. Changed the trajectory of my life. In the instance that's kind of whenever I got into drinking. I kind of always had on and off problems with opiates. And so fell real hard into doing that. That was a super fun time. Just kind of abusing painkillers for the most part. Had no real direction in life. Had no enthusiasm of anything that I really wanted to do. I had just at that point recently started to fall into having a relationship with like God and my faith, because I hit like just like a brick wall. And I was like, well, if there's anything that I can do before I don't do anything anymore permanently, like I'll give this a shot. And so that wound up being a huge revelation in my life later on, just only like maybe a year or two later. So I went through a lot of that. And then around 2019, the latter end of 2019, I started making friends with people that would go to the gym. And that's where all of that began. So I was really big into running because I was 130 pounds, frail as all can get out because I didn't eat anything except for spinach and kale and tofu. Which is not to say that that's the indicator for everybody that follows that diet, but I was, because again, self-conscious at an early age kind of thing. And I had just like this thing where it was easier to get along with those folks, and they wanted to go out clubbing on the weekends. And like I said, I got into drinking and hanging out. I didn't really know which direction God was taking me, but I've decided I was going to make my own direction because it was the first group of people that I felt like I fell into post breakup, that it was like, oh, you want to have a good time? Well, we are a good time and we're going to party, but we're also going to be optimistic about our health and our lifestyle. Weird correlating. That doesn't not correlate at all, right? So I started going to the gym, started running. Of course, COVID hit. that just put an infraction into everything. Fell out from doing that for a while. Got introduced to even harder drugs. Partied on that for a long time. And then I had a friend and a client who had previously been a part of that gym group that wanted to like, hey, I think you have some potential. And I was like, all right, whatever. And so he kind of started taking me to the gym with him and started lifting weights and teaching me how to really lift weights. Prior to this, 2016, I had been going to the gym, but like no structure, more like bodybuildingmagazine.com, kind of like the bro split. But every day that I wasn't in the gym was absolute miserable because that was like my only kind of getaway. And so what wound up happening was the more I went to the gym, the more I started seeing myself like improve. Like I had a little bit more backbone. I had a lot more confidence. Felt like my clothes fit better, you know, whenever like you start filling out your jeans in the right ways instead of the bad ways. My shirts fit a little bit better. People were like, oh man, you're starting to look good. Like you're filling out in your shoulders. And for once I stopped thinking about wanting to be skinny from like being like the chubby kid that I was. And like partially, I guess veganism was kind of an escape for that route. In the sense that I knew that it was going to make me thin because I had no nutritional information at all except for like eat food and stay alive. Like, right. So I kind of fell into starting to feel better about myself. And I was like, well, partying all the time and doing a bunch of blow is like not going to help me pursue better fitness goals for myself because that's like, it doesn't, for some reason it clicked in my head. Like those two things that's not balance. People like to look at it as like, oh, I can go and party on the weekends if I go to the gym during the week. And it's like, no, that's not really how that works. It cancels each other out. And so I started to reel back my partying a lot more. Started focusing on trying to go to the gym more. About that time is whenever I stopped being vegan, because I had this inner confliction, and then I started just trying to rely on. At this point, I guess I had started going through the motions of relying on prayer and wanting more of God's will for my life. As weird as it sounds, it's just like that application kind of came down to me praying about this moral conviction that I had about veganism. And I felt like it was just like, you can go eat like whatever you want to. Like you're miserable and not wanting to, or where you're at right now. So you can like, hey, like it's cool. Like you don't need to have that moral conviction anymore. So one thing led to the next. Started eating meat. I started eating a lot of meat. And the next thing I know, it helped progress my gym gains a lot more. And it's been uphill swing for the past like 3.5 years. Competed in powerlifting for a little bit. I went to the bar. Tommy was my coach. And then I kind of got coached by Josh Yance for a little bit, who is also like CrossFit bodybuilder. Super great guy. Both of them like run pretty solid businesses. Well, Josh is more works for somebody, but he does have a coaching business. But they both taught me a lot individually. Perspective spectrum of weightlifting and things of that nature. So, and then now we're at HYROX. Now we're at the endurance stage of my life, I guess.
And you are 6 months clean.
Yeah. November 1st marked the first day that I decided that I was not going to try to participate in drinking alcohol or doing cocaine or any sort of substance. And I've been at it for 6 months by the grace of God.
Has it been difficult?
trying to frame this, I don't want it to sound like it's very, I don't know how I want to frame this. It's difficult for most. It was not difficult for me. Mm-hmm. I think I finally came to the place of conviction where I spent so much time miserable. There's so many times where I tried to convince myself that I could do this. I could go out and drink, and I could make every excuse in the book for trying to reach other people. And like, it was just a social thing. Before I realized, like, I actually hate everything about this lifestyle. And it's not to say that it makes people bad. And I understand that it's harder for a lot of people, but I just remember praying about it. And there are plenty of people that will say, like, I prayed and God won't take it away. But it came to a place for me where I could not function anymore. Like, I knew that I had been going back and forth with being able to go out and be social and drink. And I had just got back from my trip to England, where you can drink socially and you don't have like a pressure or anything. But it feels like to me that in a place where it's very repetitive when you're hanging out with a lot of people with that's their enjoyment, that's their fun. Again, I don't have a problem with that. Like, I think that there's more purpose and intentionality for people in their lives, but I'm not going to sit there and because I've done the exact same thing. As far as staying clean has gone, it's not really a problem. I can go into a bar. For my mindset, it's like, is it worth staying up all night? No. Is it worth missing a gym session? No. Is it worth feeling like shit tomorrow? No, it's not. Like, at this point, like, I think the overlap between the gym and faith and everything else has been so much a part in that process that I have been able to see an exchange rate. Most people don't always have that. My immediate return has been I'm able to go to the gym and I see an improvement in my strength, in my endurance, and my physical health significantly more than just if I was sitting around twiddling my thumbs thinking about every wrong thing that I've ever done or what it would be like to just go have a drink with the boys, or if tonight should be the night, like if tonight is the reason to basically just go have a drink. Like, I made it this far and I can justify going and having a drink at my friend's wedding, which realistically only started as supposed to being like 3 weeks. So Halloween night, I decided like I wasn't going to go out, but I was going to stop by Shin's and go have a beer and like dinner. Pretty normal. It's Halloween. Everybody and their mom is out trying to go do something social. It's, whatever. I ran into some friends. I got about 2 or 3 beers deep, a few shots, we're just out here living. And then one thing leads to the next, and the next thing you know, we're taking shots at Blaine's and we're having a good time and we're rolling. Well,
this is right before you became sober, right?
Right. Yeah. So this is Halloween night. This is Halloween 2024. And then we hang out, we do the same thing I told myself I didn't want to do. I was like, I don't want to drink tonight. I wanted to just go out and have one beer. One beer turned into seeing the friends turned into 4 or 5 beers, turned into a few shots, turned into 5 a.m., turned into I only got 2 hours of sleep and had to drive to Stephenville for a festival that day. And I remember driving and being like, the only reason I feel as bad as I do is because of the decisions that I made the night before, because I can't hold a promise to myself. And if I can't hold a promise to myself, what does that make my word for worthwhile for anything? Like, I don't have any sort of real integrity the way that I thought I did. So being intentional, this whole process has taught me about being more realistic with my intentions. You know how people say, like, I'll help you move this weekend. Like, you're moving out of your spot, I'll help you move this weekend. But like, low key, they're like kind of hoping that you don't call them, kind of thing. Like, don't offer a solution to somebody if you're not willing to follow through. And it started with myself, because I was like, I can't even go and have 2 beers without wanting to go do coke. And meanwhile, this whole thing has been going on while I've been trying to be like the person to help other people get sober while I'm still partying, because I'm like, well, this isn't affecting my life in a negative way, but I can see how it's affecting yours in a negative way. Or, you know, I try to talk to people about Jesus and about faith, and I don't think it deems me a hypocrite so much. And of course, this is me saying like, I don't think it deems me as a hypocrite, but more so I look at it like, I just really wasn't being a good representation to anybody about anything that I believed, because if I believed it, then I wouldn't have to fault to like my own desires about what I wanted. So basically woke up the next morning and I was driving and I was like, this sucks. Like, I can't do this anymore. But Thanksgiving's coming up. So I'll wait until then and I'll have a glass of wine with my family or a whiskey with my older brother. Normal family stuff. Normal, like, we're just going to have a drink and hang out. Well, then Thanksgiving got there, and it's almost like by God's will, it basically turned into like, well, it was very lackluster. I showed up late to the festivities. Everybody else had drank and hung out. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll go home. No wine for me tonight. Mm. So I spent the time driving back to Granbury, because I drove up to South Lake for this. So I drive back up to Granbury, or drive back down to Granbury. Directions, right? Mm-hmm. And I was just thinking like, well, I've made it this far. Like, I'll just push it until Christmas. And Christmas rolls around, and I was just kind of like, I kind of like not waking up hungover, and about the same time, I kind of like the idea that I get to do family events and stuff like that and celebrate stuff without getting so hammered that, because it's never just like one or two, right? It's always like we're trying to party because everybody wants to celebrate the holidays or celebrate a birthday or celebrate a wedding by partying. So it's never been like the moderation thing, like I kind of bullshitted about for forever for me. God bless the people that can have like one or two drinks. Maybe someday I'll be able to do that, because I would like to have wine in Italy one day. Mm-hmm. But for me, it was like people get so trashed at like really important events that they don't remember anything about it. Mm-hmm. So they don't have the memories. So I made it to Christmas and I was like, yeah, I mean, I could, but what's the point? I kind of got other stuff that I want to do tomorrow, so it's just like, it's not really a point to go do that. And then fell asleep at like 8:30, 9 o'clock on New Year's Eve. I didn't miss anything there because I've spent so many New Year's Eves partying, staying up, and, you know, just tearing it down. And then I was like, well, I got my friend's wedding in a few days, but even at that, like, it'd be cool to just like go to a wedding and experience what a wedding's like without drinking. So I did that. And nobody really said anything about it. Nobody was trying to give me a hard time over it. And I was like, that's the last event. You know, if I can tell myself that I'm going to go have a drink for an event eventually, but like even now I don't really want to do that. It's like, well, I might as well keep going and see how long I can make it. And then before I knew it, like I posted about it. So I guess an important note is that I didn't have social media all last year. I felt like it was really just stressful trying to create content. Probably, as you guys know, like it's a lot of editing. It's a lot of trying to be on top of like your posting, trying to stay in the algorithm. And a lot of it also kind of just served as like an escape. So I went all last year, one full year without being on social media. Wild time. We could talk about that another time. That's crazy. So I get back on, and then like I make a post about my sobriety, and it has like this overwhelming amount of support. I'm really outspoken about my faith already at this point. A lot of that is attributed to sobriety as well. I feel like it's allowed me to lean more into my fitness and my faith. And I wouldn't be where I am today without God. And that's just the reality. The naysayers can say what they will, but we can have that conversation another time too. But with that being said, I had a lot of people start reaching out to me, and they were like, well, what's it like being sober? And I was like, what do you mean what is it like? Because I had a lot of people last year like, well, what's it like not having social media? It's like we grew up without this stuff. It's the same thing. Alcohol is like an adult soda pop. Like, you look at a kid that drinks like 6 or 7 Mountain Dews, you're kind of concerned for him. But we don't treat the same way with alcohol. We don't see the dude that has to go crush, 10 beers after work on a weekday or go get hammered. And like I said, this isn't like belittling, but this is just an observation.
Mm-hmm.
If a kid did that with soda, we'd be concerned about him. But as adults, because we make adult decisions, that's just the way it is. That's what we want to do with our lives. And it's just like, well, how much of this complex did we get from being kids being told no without having the explanation of like, well, we don't do this because it's bad for us. And now people can do that. And they're just like, I can eat whatever I want. I can drink whatever I want to. And I don't really care what anybody has to say about it because I'm an adult. And it's just like, okay. So we talked about it the other day. It's the same argument that people say, well, I'm going to die one day. And it's like, yeah, you can make the decision. Do you want to be able to walk around with your grandkids or your great grandkids at 80 years old and be able to go to the park with them and hang out with them? Or do you want to be 65 with COPD, laying in a hospital bed with no foot and cirrhosis of your liver? You pick and choose your battles and you pick and choose your hard. But unfortunately, because it's super convenient in the moment, that's where people land. And so when people started reaching out to me about, well, what's it like being sober? It's just like, has it been that long? Like, do you really need it that much? Like, why would you not want to? So I kind of started just taking that as like not like I'm the hero of the story kind of thing, but I've enjoyed being able to be the person where people can be like, hey man, like, I don't know that my friends would be willing to support me in saying that I have a problem. So I'm telling you that I have a problem. And then going from there has been all the more exciting. I have several friends, Thomas Motley, Gabriel Hughes, Madeline Ridgway, a bunch of friends in San Angelo that have gotten sober. And we've always exchanged during like conversations about while I'm doing their hair or whatever about their sobriety journey. And I was like, yeah, maybe one day, like, that sounds really appealing for me, but I'm just not there yet. Well, now that I'm there, I can like look back and be like, wow, it makes more sense. Because they were the people that were like, we're not going to twist your arm on it. Of course, most of them may or may not know one another. I know that Thomas and Gabe do, but we're not going to twist your arm on it. But when you're ready for it, come talk to us.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I've been doing for these people, is like just kind of like passing the love on. Like, you don't have to get sober for the sake of getting sober or whatever, but realize that there's life on the other side of this. Like, it doesn't have to be, your whole life doesn't have to be dedicated to going to like the bar to have a good time on a Friday night. It also doesn't have to be something lame, like, and this is my personal preference of saying lame, so, if your listeners get mad at me, I don't want to play card games on a Friday night. I want to go lay in bed. I want to go to the movies. Like, I would rather wake up and go have my body obliterated at class at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to sleep at 7 o'clock at night on a Friday. Like, all of our subjective ideas of fun are so unique, but that's yours to find out what you like to do once you get there. And that's the exciting part, is like, if you decide you want to get sober, what are you going to do to fill it up? Like, I'm excited to see who you're going to be.
Yeah.
And that's where fitness comes in, is because it's like, well, for me personally, it was like, well, instead of going out at night, I could go to the gym at night and then be tired and go to bed by like 10. But there was always that little bit of FOMO. So I could always justify going out after going to the gym. And instead of going out after the gym, I started waking up early because the girl that I started dating about 3 years ago was a teacher. And so she would wake up early in the morning, and I was like, well, if I can spend more time hanging out with you like at night and be able to wake up and then I'm going to skip out and go in the gym. I'll wake up with you in the morning and then go to the gym. Well, so I can go ahead and get ready for the day. So all that has kind of led into, well, if I stay up late at night, then I can't wake up in the morning and go to the gym. And so that was the trade-off. That's everybody's individual kind of experience. It has to be subjective for everybody. You can't force people in going to the gym. And what I've learned recently is like, not everybody wants to weight train. Not everybody wants to run.
Yeah, not everybody wants to HYROX.
Not everybody wants to, yeah, exactly. But to introduce the idea of like, well, you could be running. You could be weightlifting. You could find your niche of what you want to do. And why not enjoy doing that just a little bit, or even like walking? You know, like wake up in the morning and go walk.
Okay, so what does fitness mean to you now?
Fitness now. Sorry if that messes up the sound.
No, you're good.
Fitness now has accumulated. I don't know that it means so much to me now than it did differently, but I think what it looks like instead of what it means is that it's not some meathead gym bro like Arnold in the 70s and 80s slamming weights around, or some dude kipping on doing CrossFit pull-ups. Like, I don't think it falls into anything. What it looks like now, for me, is it's family, it's community. It's about being an encouragement to the people that are around you. So even in a roundabout way, what it means is it means that there's an option. You have options. You have a space to be free without having to be concerned about what is going on in everyday life. It is really the most, I don't believe in terms like self-care to the effect of like, it's subjective. I think that it's a very like real objective thing. It's not teach your own. Like, you care about yourself by eating healthy. We all know what healthy eating looks like. It can be, certain things can be therapeutic, but being in the gym, fitness, it's good for you. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And being around people that are encouraging to you is also like therapeutic. It's establishing a good baseline for who you want to be, because I believe that you're going to surround yourself with those people. Like you say at the end of the most of the workouts that I've been a part of, it's like you have 5 minutes left, and this is the 5 minutes that you have to yourself for the rest of the day before you have to go deal with the rest of the world, but at least you can do it with somebody that's sitting there suffering next to you. And it's like, that is some real shit, Shelby. Like, that is some real shit. Because when you say that, it means that you're not suffering alone. You're not suffering by yourself. You're suffering along the side with somebody that is in the exact same position you are, so you don't feel alone. And showing up every single day means that you're not alone, but also that person's not alone. It makes you give a shit about somebody else other than yourself. And if you showing up to the gym means that you are caring about yourself enough to show up for somebody else, think about how that translates. Like, you have kids. Like, you're setting a great example for your kids by showing up every day to work on yourself, so that way they know that mom's going to be around for a long time, so that grandma can be around one day. It's the same thing with like any sort of healthy lifestyle choice. And that's something, that's a kind reality truth that most people don't get hit with every day. Or like I said, if they do, they want to make an excuse for it. It's like, you can say anything and everything that you want to, but you're only lying to yourself. You're only hurting yourself at the end of the day. The only reason you don't do one more rep, you're cheating yourself. That doesn't bother the person next to you, but you are cheating yourself out of it. And so every single time that you decide that, by all means, go crush a burger. Go crush whatever you want to. Go crush a beer if you want to, but don't let it get out of hand. Because if you let your whole life revolve around eating cheeseburgers every single day in and out for your whole life, like, it's going to lead to some problems. The same thing with alcohol. And then what example are you setting for the people around you?
Man, I feel like I could rewind and re-listen to that and feel all motivated all again.
Hey, you know,
let's go to the gym.
Dude, I mean, we will get all fired up. You want to go hit a lift after this?
Okay, I have one more question before we get into our next segment.
Cool.
Do people treat you differently because of your tattoos?
Maybe at one point in time, but now I think it's been so. I don't know. I think I have such a foundation of who I am. I don't think I allow people to make that choice. Mm-hmm. Like whenever I see somebody, I'm going to smile at them. Mm-hmm. Like I'm going to hold the door open for somebody. I'm going to ask the person how their day is. I believe that I don't want to say I don't care about what people think. I have been told a lot, especially by my ex-girlfriend, like, well, dating you is a lot different than what I was anticipating. And I don't know if that was I never really discovered whether or not that was based on the way that I look or if that was just like a personality thing. I think yes, but I don't ever notice it.
Yeah.
People will have a preconceived notion about who I am before they actually get to talk to me. It's really interesting because of my faith. I would go as far to say as that there's a lot of it makes me relatable to younger people because I am covered in tattoos. So I don't look like your traditional Christian, which is really fun dynamic. But then I open my mouth and people are like, oh, okay, well, you're not that bad. You're not like a boomer that sucks. But then like somebody who's older would see me and then we start talking about my faith. And then they're like, I guess all people with tattoos aren't that bad. Shout out to like Jelly Roll and Post Malone for being like dudes in the public eye. But if you ever catch me out and you call me Jelly Roll or Post Malone, which tends to happen at least once a month, but for whatever reason, and I'm just going to go on record and say this, I still don't know why they called me Greg at Buttercup, but I'm looking at you. I don't know I don't know who Greg is. Greg, I'm going to find you. I recently found out that the girls at Buttercup thought my name was Greg because there's somebody else in town that looks like me. I don't know where that came from. Look at me. It's pretty distinct. But I just don't think I give people the option. I don't give people the opportunity. Now, if you have an opinion based on who you think I am from years past, I understand. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of the beauty of it in a way. At least I have peace with my faith knowing that like who I was isn't who I am, which might sound narcissistic to somebody who doesn't understand, but sit down and have a conversation with me. Mm-hmm. Like, I know that at the end of the day, like, I'm going to give a high five to every single person. I'm going to like try to make the kid laugh. I'm going to be respectful to the old person and hold the door open. And I'm going to be the ear that I can try to be for the young person that's having a hard time. And that's just like a reflection of Jesus, in my opinion. And that's what I aim to do every day. Yeah. I don't care about if you think you know me, you think you like me, you think of my tattoos or anything like that.
Just trying to improve yourself.
Yeah, just be like who I'm supposed to be. Yeah. Be who you are and who you're supposed to be. Don't let anybody else tell you who you are. Mm. And my pastor said the other day, of course this is applicable for the believer, but at the same time applicable for the non-believer. And I know everybody's had their own experience with faith, and I acknowledge that. I have thoughts on that as well.
I'm going to give you 1 minute.
1 minute?
1 minute.
1 minute. He said, why don't you just start believing who Jesus says you are?
That's a good one.
Yeah. Takes less than a minute, doesn't it?
Yeah. All right, you guys, we are going to hear a word from our sponsors, and we will be back for Deck of Cards. Giving a special shout out to our sponsor, Maximus Nutrition. If you are looking to boost your workout, whether that be, toning up or adding in that bulk. They can help you out with all the shakes, all the creatine, and all the protein, and so much more. You can find them over on Sunset Drive and Knickerbocker. Be sure to hit them up. And we are back. This deck of cards segment is sponsored by Training from the Ground Up. All right, you get to pull the first card, and it's blue.
I feel like I'm a kid playing Yu-Gi-Oh again. Okay. What is something that you have experienced that changed your life, Jesus? Yeah. Easy. You want me to elaborate, or would you prefer to? What would you like to do?
Can you elaborate in a couple of minutes? What was your experience with Jesus that changed your life?
An overwhelming amount of assurance that there is grace for everybody, and that's how you should go forward in the world and teach people that you can't resolve the world's problems with conflict. Mm-hmm. It's unity through Jesus.
Is that hard for you to answer in a short amount of time?
You should know firsthand that anything is hard for me to answer in a short amount of time, because I don't want there to be any sort of small window of being like, well, like imagine the whole what is it called, weaving thing that Donald Trump does, that he talks about, is like, I do it so they can't take clips. It's just like, you can take all the clips you want to, but I'm going to grill you if I find out that you're taking something I say out of context.
Okay, my answer for this question, I'm going to have to say giving stickers. Giving out stickers, I started back in 2022, just as a random act of kindness. I wasn't an instructor, nothing like that. I just bought a pack of stickers and wanted to spread kindness out there, and it's led me to this. It's mind-blowing.
It's so crazy. Like, that was the thing that started all of it. Because
people would tell me stories. I would give them stickers, and they would tell me some story. And I remember I had one sticker, and it said, it's just the never give up. But, you don't realize how powerful those words are.
Do you think that's like the assurance that people want? Oh. Like people are looking for affirmations every single day, but like to have something physical and tangible from somebody else, instead of it being like a generated thing on their algorithm, that like we should probably be more physically kind to one another. Like that's something that,
There's been multiple times where people have said, like, you have no idea, like, what that certain sticker means. And then there's people that from, like, years ago, they'd be like, oh, I still have your first sticker you gave me.
Really?
Like, it makes a difference. And it's just mind-blowing to think that, like, the stories from the stickers led to actual storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, as I have been, and I don't want this to sound sarcastic because I got asked about it this morning. I'm a crier. Don't make me cry. I'll cry. I will cry. If we get too sentimental, I'll shed a tear.
Hey, Landon, do you have any onions?
Landon's just going to slowly zoom into my face while I'm like tearing up while you're telling a story and be like, he wasn't lying. He cries.
That's why we have fun cards too.
Yeah.
What is your favorite lift?
What is my favorite lift? Ooh, I was hoping you were going to pull this card. Deadlifts.
Deadlifts
Always.
How much can you deadlift?
Right now I'm still training to pull 500 with Braden Jowers at the end of June. And currently my volume PR is 425 for 3 reps. And I think that I can pull about 460 for a single after a volume workout. I don't know what I can do with a little bit of prime. Mm-hmm. What about you? What is your favorite lift?
Okay, my favorite lift. Wait,
can I guess what I think your favorite? That would be fun. What did you think my favorite lift was? I'm curious.
Deadlift.
Okay.
You look like a deadlift person.
That's a short torso and long arms, folks. I have no neck.
You can guess mine.
I don't know. You're pretty good at pull-ups, but I don't know. I think you more than anything, you enjoy running.
Honestly, I'm not a runner.
Really?
I was not a runner before HYROX. And I haven't ran since HYROX in March because my foot is, mad at me. I would give anything to be running. I actually miss the running.
Yeah.
But I feel like this answer changes a lot because I've been in different scenarios. Because the boot is on my foot, I am enjoying rows because it's easy to,
Is that a lift though?
Oh yeah, I'm taking it as a lift. You know that tea machine at Breeze? It's not a compound lift.
Well, yeah, I guess.
But that's my favorite lift right now.
You could you could be doing barbell bent over rows and just get
That's what they are.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah,
fair enough. Okay.
Green card.
Green card for what does it say? Fun for all. Oh gosh, this is a long-winded question. Genie grants you 3 wishes. What do you wish for?
Boom, boom, boom.
Can you go first on this one? Give me an idea.
Yes, I am still behind. Give me a personal chef. Come cook all my meals for me. And then let's also cover that grocery bill too. So double whammy with the food. And I still want to go with a rotating wardrobe. So the wardrobe is always fresh.
I like that, yeah.
Yeah.
3 wishes. Let's not get too theological, Miller. I get really into the idea of Jesus coming back. Give me 1 Johnny Cash performance. Give me the ability to get homeless people off the streets. Mainly because it breaks my heart. Mm-hmm. Like little puppies with their dudes on the street corner. Anyways. And a fully restored 1977 Ford, which I have one sitting at the house that's not restored that we need to be working on. But all that to say, those would be my 3 wishes. That would be cool.
Those are some good wishes.
I didn't even think about the private chef thing. That sounds baller.
Right? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh, but especially nothing that's I'm a sucker for just like basic foods, but like having stuff that's like hitting your macros, but it's like outrageously delicious.
Please.
Need it.
What is your greatest fear in this current time?
I don't know that I have. I want to be realistic about this. As far as the political and social sphere goes, there's plenty. But let's just chalk it up and say that there's not a giant spider behind that curtain. Because
that you know of.
Yeah, I can stand with snakes but like that scene in Harry Potter, I don't remember which Harry Potter it is, but whenever they're in the forest and like no. Don't sound bite me vomiting or gagging, please. What about you?
I would say my greatest fear is losing like what I've been working on to build. Not that I'm projecting it to happen, but I've worked so hard to build this and there's still building going into it, and I think I would just hate to be put in a spot where it's like, you can no longer do this, Yeah. That's a big fear. I want to see it do well.
Yeah, I think that there's always the possibility, but I think that even at this rate, like, your friends are going to love you and everybody's going to always make sure that you do succeed.
Yeah.
And I think there's a little bit of assurance in that.
We'll see.
Okay. Bree, make her do burpees until she can't stand. Do you take pre-workout? Yeah, absolutely. I don't do it before my runs, but before my heavy lifts, and I use ammonia sometimes whenever I'm going to go PR. But we already have established that I don't mind having things up my nose. So
Yeah.
That's a good drug joke.
Yeah.
Sorry. Do you take pre-workout?
I do, but I have been cutting it back.
What do you take? Do you take like?
I do bucked up, but like their lowest milligram.
Uh-huh.
But since we've been back from HYROX, it's been just half scoops.
Yeah.
The other day when I worked out with you, I did no pre-workout on one of them.
Yeah, I kind of got into doing the 400 milligram pre-workout for a while, and smoking cigarettes for a little bit. Like I still will have a cigarette socially, dude. Even with all the abuse over the past few years, I kind of got concerned about the 400 millis for a while because I was like, this is not good for my health. My heart's gonna blow up.
Yeah. How much do you take now?
I just do like one scoop of the BP in. So it's like I think 200 milligrams. But then again, I drink like coffee. I disperse caffeine throughout the day. Proper dosing with like magnesium at night to make sure that my levels are all good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nerd stuff. I don't know. I think you're green.
Do you have a secret talent, and can you do it right now?
I don't know that I have a secret talent. I'm pretty out with everything that I do.
Do you have a unique talent?
I mean, aside from cutting hair, I've been told that I'm a decent singer, but I'm not singing for you right now. I used to think me being double jointed in my thumb was cool, but like that's not. People can like pop it and roll their arms, and also I don't really think that's double jointed anymore. I don't know. Off the top of my head, nothing that I can think of. I'm a useless vast of information of just random stuff. How about you?
Well, all of my reoccurring listeners have seen this talent over and over, but I can make a butt with my tongue.
That's not something that I was anticipating, but I guess one more time for the listeners or the watchers.
Well, I'll show you. Are you ready?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's
my awesome.
Secret talent.
I'm so glad that it was like a butt and not the butthole.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know how you're going to make your tongue a butthole, but
so
like
weird.
it's like the little screwdriver that has like all the different. I can't.
Oh,
remember,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah, that'd be strange.
Blue. If you could give yourself younger advice, what would you say? The same thing that I tell all of my kids that sit in my chair now. Don't worry about girls. Put your faith in Jesus, read your Bible, go to the gym, and be as much of a help in your community as you possibly can. The listen to your parent part thing, like, I don't really know. Sometimes they're not always right, but, you know, everybody's learning all the time. I'm just kidding. That's bad solicited advice.
I could agree with that on some point, but then for my daughter to, like, listen back and be like, your parents aren't right.
Yeah. What would you give your younger self advice about?
Back whenever I was growing up and, like, in high school and beginning stages of college, I was just trying to get out of the house. And so I was just trying to, I don't know, what's next. And I wish I would have just had space to, or like found space to figure out who I actually was.
I mean, I noticed that a lot.
Yeah.
Like especially with like your kids developing their own personalities, but the helicopter parents never really see their kids come out the way that they intend them to. And then at the same time, like the hands-off parents literally create monsters sometimes. Yeah. But then again, some of those kids do crave structure. So sometimes it might just be reverse psychology. Yeah. That's very interesting.
I would have told myself, you know, just like go to the gym, draw, do some form of an outlet in some way just to see what I liked.
Alternate question, though. We're going to go off the cuff, and I don't mean to steal your show. If adult you could go back and tell your parents that were parenting younger you advice, like if you bumped into somebody or like whatever you bumped into your parents of your younger self at the grocery store to give them advice, what would you tell them?
Oh, I had parents that were basically divorced but lived in the same house. Mm-hmm. And both were very overweight, like to the point my dad was almost dying because of it. There would be two things. I would tell them find a form of fitness because it would have improved our household overall. But I would also say that, if they were to stay together, I would have wished that they would have worked to learn to communicate and like be friends and not enemies.
Yeah.
Because it created a hard
household to be in. Isn't it crazy to think about like all the things that you wish you could tell your younger self, but it's just like you look at your parents and like, I wonder if you ever could, your parents even, because you're always going to project to get older, right? So like even when we're 80, what's your younger self to you then? Like there's stuff you want to know now that you wish you would have known now that you would know in 20 years from now. But it's like, what would be the piece of advice that you wish somebody would have given you whenever you were younger is an interesting one.
Yeah.
I think it's your draw.
All right.
Pink card.
Pink card. Is there anyone in the fitness community that you look up to and why?
Like local community?
It can be any.
It's changed so much over the years. I think I'll always like Chris Bumstead because Chris Bumstead was like, Mr. Olympia. He's great at what he does. I think intellectually he's very smart. I've listened to a lot of his interviews. Simultaneously, Michael Smoke, the Higher Up Wellness Instagram page, podcast has been a huge help. There's a guy in Austin named Crew, I want to say. Somewhere through the grapevine, you can find his interview with Michael Smoke on the Higher Up Wellness podcast. I like the drive and determination that he has. Lucy Davis is in. You know who Lucy Davis is, right? Yeah. I love her content because she's very raw. I was actually listening to a podcast with her this morning with Nick Bear. Nick Zavala, who's local, has been a great help. I think having a rotating door of influences, including yourself, because it is the reminder that you're sucking at something with somebody else, and it's something that that person's showing up to every single day. So even like Bree, like when we're all there, just anybody and everybody that I know that I derive influence from certain people, but at the same time I look up to people in the community directly because it's like you can glance over at any point in time and know that person, as long as you have the awareness, know that person's life is probably not going the way that they anticipated it to, but they're still showing up for themselves and other people every single day anyways.
I love that. You're exactly right. And that's exactly why I love this podcast. Building community here.
Yes.
I look up to a lot of people, but here recently it's been nice to work out around Bree. Yeah. And have Bree, I don't know, I'll be doing my own thing and she's over there doing muscle ups, and it's cool to watch somebody start their own gym from the ground up too, and how much dedication she's putting into it. It's helped kind of push me podcast wise too. Two
individual business owners doing their thing. I think it's the thing though, just embracing the suck together. doing the absolute most. I'm happy that you've found Peak as well. It's just a culmination of kick-ass people. Let's see. Have you ever prank called somebody? I was never good at prank calling. The whole Star 69 thing never got sucked at it.
It never worked for you?
It did, but people always knew it was me, and I don't know how. I think there was a rat. There was somebody who's tattletaling on me. Or it was it's the same thing with serial killers or people that what was the alibi, what was the motive, and it's just oh, well, that person stole something from me at school today, so I'm going to give them gaff and give them a prank call. It's just well, who's the most identifiable suspect at that point? Oh, man. Yeah.
You're the first person that has said yes to that question.
Well, oh my gosh. If anybody, there used to be YouTube videos galore of people prank calling somebody. Yeah, that's not. You lies. You all lie.
I knew Star 67 very well. I thought it was so fun to prank call people. And then I've told this story on here before, but I used to have a landline in my bedroom.
Why?
I don't know. But it had like its own phone number. It was a really cool like see-through landline phone. You could see like all the wires. Yeah. But my number was one off from the Dairy Queen that was down the street. And so people would call and like not claim their order, but like put their order in, and I would take their order, and then they would go to Dairy Queen and they'd
that's not a prank call. You're just a demon.
Yeah. Still involved a phone.
I heard something recently about you can call and connect two people because you could do like a conference call, and you call one person, call the other person, and then you connect them together, and so it's like two different people from two different towns across the country or whatever, and like they just have to sit there and you can like listen to them have an argument. That's weird. It's diabolical. Yeah, right?
No, I don't know if I trust any phone call coming in.
I don't trust anything ever.
Okay. Blue card. How have you grown in the last 6 months?
Sobriety?
Yeah.
It's an interesting question. I have appreciated my life a lot more. I've had a greater perspective of life. I have been tedious with intentionality behind everything that I do. My gratitude for the people that sit in my chair. Anybody that's willing to wear a shirt, even though they haven't sold very many, like anything, just the gratitude for the people around me, how much I appreciate the life that I have, be willing to make amends with the people that for whatever reason in the past, whether it's been something I've done or something they've done to me, like just learn how to let things go and really let things go. Stop dwelling on so many things that don't have any effect to you on a day-to-day basis, but for the sake of just knowing that like you have been forgiven at some point in time in your life, even if you're not a faith-based person, like you've been granted grace by somebody else in your life that should have been an example for you to be able to allow people to be able to, kind of be free, simultaneously being gracious. I think a lot of that correlates with me moving back here because like how I've kind of like tried to help other people find, new people to go get their hair done by, and then they come back and then I'm like, I didn't ask you to. And they're like, well, I missed you. And I'm like, just like, what's the point? Like, it makes you feel, I've just learned how to be more gracious of the people that are in my life. Mm-hmm. And because of that. Mm-hmm. How about you?
Oh, I am learning how to hold a lot more responsibility. Just with now working 2 gyms, mm-hmm. and the podcast and all the social media aspects that come with that, on top of trying to grow like gym content. I have such like a stuck with editing. I don't know. Editing season 3 burnt me out, and so I'm still in the process of like re-loving editing, mm-hmm. gym stuff, and it comes with a lot of sit down responsibility and then mom life responsibility, but I'm able to manage it a little more than I would have previously.
I bet Landon helps.
Yeah. Landon helps so much. Season 4 is attributed to his work too. It's so good.
Eventually you have to get to the point where you outsource things for the sake of like your sanity, but also quality.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's a growing journey, because while season 4 is the best that it has ever been, I guess I would say my biggest stress now is trying to get people to believe in it, Like,
believe in it.
It's good, and it has already made some differences in people's lives that I'm so thankful for. But it's just gaining subscribers and sponsorships, and it's a slow build.
I think that's the really unique thing about the podcast, though, is because it's taking people and you're breaking the stereotype and the superficial bullshit that revolves around, for whatever reason, influencers or enthusiasts. It says like, oh, this person doesn't do anything except focus on the gym 24/7. It's like, no, they're real life people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a small portion of my day. I am enthusiastic as all get out about it because I know it can be life changing for a ton of people the same way you are. But it's 2 hours out of my day. You want to talk to me about anything else, and I can make sure that you never think that I'm just a gym rat again, or like just go lift weights. Like, I like lifting heavy circles, but it's not who I am.
We work out around so many people. Like,
yeah.
Don't you ever wonder, like, what are they like?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the whole reason.
And it's the same thing. It's the same thing applied that, like, kind of like, it's just a place of community. Same thing with like a church or the bar. Like, you never really learn how to see somebody more than the superficial, rather than unless you're willing to engage with them outside of it. You know what I mean? Like, we see each other at the gym 3 times a week, see each other on social media all the time. I am a fiend whenever it comes to sending memes, as you found out as we've become more friends. And sometimes I'm like, I need to reel this back because it's kind of getting annoying. But, like, I think it's just being more personable with your relationships, and that's the gratitude thing. Like, I see it a lot in you, and you're doing great with it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I've grown into having this many responsibilities.
You're doing great.
Thanks. All right, we're going to pull these last 2 and make them kind of quick. What is one exercise that you avoid?
Bulgarian split squats.
Ooh, why?
I got bad knees. I got ran over twice. But so like bulgies, and like, I'm not a huge lunge fan, but that's also because I squat so much during the week. Like, it's
good thing you got lunches in HYROX.
Yeah, I know. Twice a week. You should have been there yesterday. It was so much fun. I hate it, but I love it. It's so much fun.
Hold on.
Go for it. Sorry, my bad. All I heard was go through them, and then my brain was like, we gotta go.
Barbell squats.
Oh.
Yeah.
I gotta go. Sorry.
I haven't done them in well over a year. I don't love them.
The plan will be to get her to do barbell back squats now. Well, after her foot's fine.
So many people have said that, and I have yet to do them.
Okay, now we're going to work on it, because you're going to put me through that. It's the same thing you did with Jesse. It's like, we're gonna get you into barbell back squatting. We're going to figure out how we're going to do it, but we're going to do it.
Maybe.
What time do you wake up?
4:30. 4:30.
It varies for me day to day.
Love it.
Yeah. I enjoy being up at 5 because now I have like the anticipation of waking up, and I've had the anticipation. My favorite part of the day is going to the gym. And now that there's the 6 o'clock class, I can wake up at 5, and like, cause I like waking up and going immediately. I don't like waiting around. The same thing with like church or anything else. So it varies, but it's become more 5 consistently again, because it used to be like 4:35, and then it turned into like 6, 7. I think I've told you this quote before, but and I can't remember. I think Chris Williamson is who I heard it from initially. But whenever you hit your snooze in the morning, you're actively choosing to repeat the worst part of your day. Meaning, if the least favorite part of your day is waking up, you hitting your snooze and choosing to start your day later than what you're supposed to, you're actively you're making the choice that you want to repeat having to wake up again. Just get up. Just get up and get after it.
I've never heard that.
Really?
That's good, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's the same thing with the Chris Williamson says, the Alex Hormozy quotes, like, you can scream affirmations in the mirror all you want to, but the only way that you can really gain confidence is building up physical evidence of who you say that you are.
That's a good one, too.
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm a vast wealth of knowledge of things and such.
All right, you guys, that concludes this deck of cards segment. We're going to hear a word from our sponsor, and we'll be back soon. Are you looking to get stronger, faster, and feel unstoppable? Orange Theory Fitness is science-backed and coach-inspired, ready to get you fit. And guess what? Your first class is free. So hop on over to Orange Theory Fitness. They are located over by Nukes and Chick-fil-A. And we are back. I am going to ask you 4 questions that I ask every single guest. And my first one is, what is your current biggest struggle?
So I think nobody ever really figures it out, or try to figure out how I want to phrase this. Everybody constantly wants to have their shit together, and nobody does. I think that's the fun thing about life, is every bit of being uncomfortable in your current situation is a part of growth. Me moving back has sucked. I am well in debt. I have had to kind of start my life over again. This is so annoying. It's like 14 times moving in the last 7 years. Been annoying. So I would say consistency. The gym helps me with consistency. Church helps me with consistency. But gym has been the most consistent because I would shirk responsibilities everywhere else just to be able to make the gym. And still, realistically, my body weight. I don't mind walking around at 195, but my midsection's always been like a weird thing for me. Like, I don't really care for the way that I look without a shirt on still. So that would be the superficial answer. Yeah.
All right. What is your proudest moment to date? Something you've done that you're proud of.
I don't really know. I kind of just live every day trying to glorify God in everything that I do, and I can't take any pride in that because it's like being too boastful. Maybe just showing up every day. It's probably like the only thing that I can be proud of, like being willing to like wake up in the morning and be like, well, I'm going to go and do the very best that I can for the sake of who I'm supposed to be. Because I don't think one outweighs the other. I don't want it to be like something that I constantly have to top. It's going to be a catalog of things that I can say, like, this is things that I've done my whole life. That would probably be about it.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
All right. If you could give anybody honorable mention, who do you choose and why?
One person?
One person. Doesn't have to be fitness, but one person for honorable mention.
Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior.
And why?
The overwhelming amount of grace that I have received through my faith has allowed me to endure the trials and tribulations of everyday life. It's allowed me to reflect and grow in my convictions. It's allowed me to be able to treat people better, treat myself better. And I don't think I would be who I am today without my faith. And that goes to say for like anybody that's known me, knows me, anybody that has their own struggles with faith or is very found in their faith. I want to be a better representation of who he's supposed to be to those people all the time. And that has changed my heart. And that's the most important thing, I think, is how you love people. I'll cry. Right. I'll cry right now.
My last question for you is, if you could give advice to anybody listening, what is the best advice you have?
Probably just that, really. Find a community. Find people that want to see you establish a relationship, a real profound relationship with Jesus. And then after that, find people that want to see you grow and achieve your goals. Be the healthiest person that you can be. We do only get to live in physical bodies on the physical plane one time. And you pick every single day, every minute of every single day to direct where you're going to go with that. And I don't think that there's anything better that you can do then find the enjoyment in the things that suck the most with people that you love.
Mm-hmm.
Join Peak Performance. Yeah, I've enjoyed my time thus far with you, Bree, Sam, and everybody else who shows up when they show up, because it's being able to suck severely at something and sucking with people that you've grown to care about for the sake of being like, this is a community. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is people that you can look up to. This is people that you can ask advice to. The same thing with my pastors at church. Like, I suck at trying to explain my faith sometimes, but because of Ryan Dalglish, Micah Moriano, and Pierce Love, I can say that they serve as like really good people for advice and to do life with, the same way I do with you guys. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I suck at it, but probably not forever. So, and thank God for that, because I have good people that'll keep me in check. So find those people. Find people that want to see you fulfill your purpose in life.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Long-winded answer. Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay. It was all beautifully said. And I want to say I love sitting on this side of the table sometimes, because like throughout your entire speaking, there were things that you actually spoke to me on. I can't go back and recall them right now. I'd have to go back and listen, but I just thank you. You don't know how much your story means.
I'll give you a hug after this. I'll give you a hug. I'll give you Landon a hug over there with his glasses, looking all smart. Yeah, I love being able to. I thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
I know that initially we planned for later on, but whenever you texted me, I was like, must be the time. Like,
yeah.
And I hope that I've been as fulfilling for you as in honoring to God as I possibly can, and being a good representation, and hopefully people can take something away from this. And I'm happy to know you. I'm privileged to be here, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
I can't wait to watch you grow.
You as well. I mean, we're all in this together. I told you I could sing.
And with that being said, we're all in this together. So I need you guys to subscribe and comment on this video. Let us know what you think, as long as it's kind. And a special shout out to our sponsors, Maximus Nutrition, Orange Theory Fitness, and Training from the Ground Up. We hope you choose to do something great with your day. Bye, friends. Hey, you guys, we wanted to give one last shout out to Maximus Nutrition for helping make this podcast possible. Go hit them up for one of their delicious shakes. My favorite is coconut cream pie. They can hook you up with all of your protein needs too. You can find them on Sunset Drive and Knickerbocker. Go crush the day, you guys.